Hi guys, Alex here. I want to do a video that may be sensitive to some, but this has been my experience, and I think that the industry is going to change quite a bit. The service technicians in the HVAC world today, the ones that aren't independent but working for big companies, I believe they're working very much on bonus or commission basis based on what they ring up on the register, so to speak. And the reason I say this is, and it doesn't even have to be significant. It could be a capacitor here, a capacitor there, $200, $200, and they make a little money and they don't feel so bad. But that was my experience. In my situation, my home, I moved in, had the guy do the HVAC maintenance. I called somebody in, and this was before I really got deep into this stuff. My company actually monitors HVAC sensor data from controls systems on buildings. So, we know how to detect faults in generality, but we weren't doing the diagnostic end of it until after this happened, and then we got deep into it. Um, but I called this guy in, and he did the HVAC maintenance. I thought I was doing what was good, to protect my very most expensive appliance in my home that I don't want to break and have to spend thousands of dollars. So he told me I needed a capacitor, and I was in a hurry. He was charging me a couple $100. I knew it was really expensive for an $11 capacitor, but I just told him to go ahead and do it because I was in a hurry. He did it. The next guy came out in fall, and he also told me that I needed a capacitor, but this time in the air handler, same company, okay, same service company. And at that point, I said, it seems like funny business going on. I told him, nah, you know what? I'm just going to take my chances and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, okay. And so anyway, he did his thing, buttoned everything up, was leaving. As he was leaving, I didn't feel so good about the energy I was getting, the vibe. But I just brushed it off. And I didn't turn on the air conditioning system for a few days because it was mild that period of time. And when I finally did, a few days later, I happened to be outside right after I turned it on, and I heard clicking. So I knew something was off, and I turned it off. I called in this other technician that I'm going to play here. Now, he's from another service company, because at this point I was speculating that these guys at this company, the first company I called in, were just not so ethical, I guess. And this guy comes in, and I followed him up to the attic, after I told him what happened, and this is what happened.
Cute nose. It does smell like there is damage to this motor. Okay. So there could be eventually an issue with this motor, and I have like that electronic sense smell.
But is that due to the capacitor being disconnected, which you found it disconnected?
Well, no, it won't have any. Well.
Okay, this cracks me up. Okay, he seemed like a nice guy, and when I look back at this, I was thinking, you know what? I feel like this guy was even going down a path of maybe I could score a blower motor on this, because I'm smelling this burn sound, and he sees the wires are off this capacitor. He knows that that's a big deal. And there he's just acting puzzled, and I know he knew. And then later he owned up to it, basically said it's probably it. But I told him I didn't want to replace the blower. I'll say, just going to see how it goes. And what I've got here, this is my system today. I mean, it's working just fine. Actually, we just did an upgrade to this hardware, and I've got to update the values here. But that's actually a 5.7 value on the amps. These CTs are not always so accurate, so you've got to modify the values. And the compressor's actually a little over 5, and the condenser's about 0.75 or 6. So everything is right in line with the RLA. So everything's good, but we've just got to upgrade our hardware, our firmware, I should say, to represent the right values, which is what I've got to do next. But I wanted to do this video. But I guess my question is how many of you out there, I'd really like to know how many companies are out there pressing their technicians to get more revenue per site visit. Maybe they don't even want to do that because they don't feel right about it. But I'm just curious how many do. And the other thing I'm going to comment on is this is all going to be short lived. For example, we've developed an application that's a diagnostic system for air conditioning, and DIY guys can install it and basically look at the pulse of their air conditioning system and manage it well. And even laymen can do it. And so this kind of thing here is going to be short lived. Down the road. I mean, yeah, there may be a few things that they could get away with, but for the most part, people will be able to see when their system changes after some guy walks out the door. They could and I've done this on the commercial side where they said, "Oh, we didn't do that." And I said, "Well, it was working fine up until this point where you guys came in and did your thing, and then all of a sudden after that point it wasn't working fine, so you got to fix it, and it's on you." And that's not something I like to do because I'm in business for myself. I know how that feels, but at the same time you have to be accountable for your work. So anyway, that really irked me, and that is why we developed our own hardware for data acquisition and software for the diagnostic, and it's coming out in February. If you're a technician and you'd like to talk to me, about pre-ordering, I'm happy to talk to you. It's honestly, and I think more and more technicians are learning that this is really the way it needs to be and the way it's going to go if you really want to run your business well and retain customers and keep customers satisfied, with your service. This is the way it's going to go. But that was my experience, and that's what caused me to do this. Now, this is simple linear graph I'm showing you here. We haven't released the software. I'm not going to show it to you on here yet. We'll be releasing it here in the next month, and then you can see it. So subscribe and tune in, and you get to see it. And I'm sure we'll demo it in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, so yeah, this is just the typical linear graph that everybody shows, and our stuff I think is it's pretty good. So I guess you can be the judge later. You guys take care.